Ladies and gentlemen, life doesn't come with a manual, but it does whisper clues to those who are willing to listen. Today, I want to share 7 life lessons, not from books or theories, but from the raw, real truths that shape every success story, build every legacy, and fuel every dream worth chasing. These are not just ideas. These are must-learn truths. And the sooner you embrace them, the faster your life will start moving in the direction you deserve. Everything in your life begins with a thought. The house you live in, the clothes you wear, the job you hold, and even the relationships you maintain, each of these started as an idea, a spark in someone's mind before it became reality. Thoughts are not passive. They are powerful, active forces that shape the world around you. Every action you've ever taken was first born in your mind. That means your thoughts aren't just fleeting clouds in your mental sky. They are blueprints for your future. What you allow to occupy your mind consistently begins to define your reality. If you constantly dwell on fear, lack, or limitation, your actions will begin to mirror that negativity. You'll play small. You'll hesitate. You'll pull back at the very moments when you should be pushing forward. On the other hand, if you fill your mind with belief, clarity, and intention, you'll find yourself moving with more purpose, more confidence, and more power. Most people underestimate the creative power of the human mind. They think their thoughts are private, isolated from the outside world, without realizing that everything they believe about themselves eventually leaks out into their behavior, their choices, and even their environment. Your mindset controls the lens through which you view the world, and the world tends to respond in kind. If you see yourself as capable, opportunities appear. If you see yourself as unworthy, even the best chances will slip right past you. You have to take responsibility for the thoughts you entertain. It's easy to fall into the trap of letting your mind run on autopilot, especially when life gets difficult. But success doesn't come from passively hoping for better days. It comes from intentionally feeding your mind with the kind of thoughts that generate progress, resilience, and momentum. You become what you think about most often. If your mental focus is locked on growth, improvement, and possibility, then slowly but surely your life will begin to reflect those very things. Training your thoughts takes discipline. It's not about pretending everything is perfect or avoiding challenges. It's about choosing to see possibility even in the middle of struggle. It's about recognizing your setbacks as setups. It's about staying mentally strong even when your circumstances try to wear you down. The mind, like any powerful tool, must be mastered. And mastery starts with awareness. Are your dominant thoughts helping you or hurting you? Are they aligned with the life you want to live, or are they feeding into the very patterns you're trying to break? People often search outside themselves for answers: more money, better circumstances, different relationships, but the truth is, transformation begins inside. Lasting change starts in the mind. When you start thinking differently, everything else begins to shift. Opportunities that once seemed hidden begin to emerge. Solutions that once felt out of reach begin to take form. Confidence starts to grow, not because everything outside you is perfect, but because everything inside you is aligned with where you're going. Desire is not just a want or a fleeting wish. It is the heartbeat of every achievement, the internal fire that fuels determination, persistence, and action. The difference between those who dream and those who succeed lies in the depth of their desire. A casual interest may inspire a few steps forward, but it is a burning, unshakable desire that compels someone to keep going, even when the path is steep, the road is dark, and the reward seems distant. True desire consumes you. It becomes something you think about when you wake up, when you go to sleep, and in every quiet moment in between. It pushes you to act when others are standing still. It moves you when there's no clear sign of progress. It gives meaning to your struggles and turns obstacles into challenges instead of stop signs. Without desire, even the best strategies fall apart. With it, even the most difficult goals can be accomplished. Desire has the power to override fear, fatigue, and failure. It becomes the inner engine that keeps you focused when your circumstances try to distract you. When people talk about passion or purpose, what they're really touching on is desire, the raw emotional drive to become more, to do more, to live life on your terms. It's not enough to simply set a goal. Anyone can do that. What matters is how deeply that goal burns inside you. If it doesn't move you, if it doesn't light a fire in your chest, then you won't have the strength to pursue it when things get hard, and things always get hard. The world does not respond to lukewarm efforts. It responds to those who are obsessed with growth, those who show up every day with grit and hunger. People with strong desire don't wait for perfect conditions because they understand that perfect conditions rarely exist. They start where they are, with what they have, and they push forward relentlessly. That's the kind of desire that rewrites stories and changes lives. This level of desire doesn't always come naturally. Sometimes it must be cultivated, fed, and protected. It requires clarity about what you want and why you want it. It demands that you disconnect from distractions and silence the voices, both internal and external, that tell you to settle. When you protect your desire and nurture it daily, it becomes stronger than your doubts and louder than your excuses. Desire also creates focus. When you truly want something, your priorities shift. Distractions lose their appeal. Time becomes more valuable. You begin to move differently, think differently, and act with a level of urgency and intention that separates you from the average. That intensity changes the way you approach problems. It forces you to find solutions, not escape routes. No one rises to greatness by accident. Behind every major success is a deep, all-consuming desire that refuses to be ignored. It is the emotional fuel that keeps people standing after countless failures. It's what keeps them building, learning, growing, and believing long after others have given up. Faith and fear cannot occupy the same space. One moves you forward, the other holds you back. Fear is the silent thief of potential, whispering doubts in your ear, making you second-guess your abilities, your worth, and your path. It paralyzes action, clouds judgment, and magnifies every obstacle. But faith is the antidote. Faith is what lifts you above uncertainty, giving you the strength to move even when the way is unclear. It's what allows you to believe in the invisible, to trust in the process, and to act with courage when everything around you is telling you to stop. Faith is not blind optimism. It's not about ignoring reality or pretending things are easy. Faith is about choosing to believe in a bigger outcome, even in the face of challenges. It is a decision, not a feeling. You can be afraid and still choose faith. In fact, that's often when faith is the most powerful, when everything inside you wants to retreat, and yet you step forward anyway. That choice, that moment, is where growth lives. Every great achievement begins with belief. Before the results come, before the progress is visible, before others see your vision, you have to believe. If you don't, no one else will. Faith is the foundation of every breakthrough. It keeps you steady when the process feels slow. It keeps your vision alive when your circumstances try to convince you otherwise. Without it, the journey becomes unbearable. With it, the impossible starts to feel possible. Fear is loud. It shows up in hesitation, in excuses, in the urge to play small. It convinces you that failure is fatal, that success is for someone else, that you're not ready or not enough. But faith is quiet strength. It doesn't shout. It whispers, keep going. It tells you that every step matters, that setbacks are part of the path, and that everything you're working toward is already on its way as long as you don't quit. To build faith, you have to feed it. What you focus on grows. If you constantly feed your mind with fear news, negativity, past failures, your belief will shrink. But if you focus on progress, on purpose, on what's possible, faith begins to rise. It grows every time you keep a promise to yourself, Every time you take action in spite of doubt, every time you push through a challenge and come out stronger on the other side. Faith is built through experience, through movement, through resilience. Faith also requires vision. You have to see something greater than where you are. You have to believe there's more waiting for you, not just by chance, but because you're willing to work for it. When you hold a clear image of your future in your mind and couple it with consistent action, that's when things begin to align. That's when opportunities begin to show up, not because of luck, but because you had the courage to keep going long enough to reach them. The words you speak to yourself shape your identity, your confidence, and ultimately your future. Every day, whether you realize it or not, you're engaged in a conversation with yourself. That inner dialogue either builds you up or breaks you down. It either fuels your belief or feeds your doubt. The most powerful tool you have is not something external, it's the voice inside your head and the messages you choose to repeat. This is the force of auto-suggestion, the ability to program your mind through intentional, repeated self-talk. Most people walk through life unaware of how their inner language affects them. They say things like, "I'm not good enough," "I'll never figure this out," or "That's just who I am," without realizing that every time those words are spoken, even silently, they are reinforcing a belief system that limits their potential. The subconscious mind doesn't argue. It accepts what it hears over and over again. If you keep telling yourself you're incapable, unworthy, or unlucky, your mind will begin to look for proof to support that belief. And once it finds it, it will create patterns that match it. But the same principle works in the opposite direction. When you intentionally speak words of strength, power, and purpose, your mind starts to adapt. Say, "I am capable," and over time, your actions begin to reflect capability. Say, "I am focused," and your behavior starts aligning with focus. The brain is always listening, always absorbing, always adapting to the signals you send it. That's why it's not enough to just think positively once in a while. You have to feed your mind deliberately, consistently, and with intensity. Repetition is key. Saying something once won't change much, but saying it every day with emotion and conviction begins to create a new mental track. Over time, that track becomes a habit of thought, and habits of thought become habits of behavior. This is not about lying to yourself or pretending to be something you're not. It's about speaking truth into your potential before the results show up. It's about seeing the best in yourself before the world does. It's about stepping into the identity of who you are becoming, not just who you've been. It also matters how you say it. Emotion gives your words power. When you speak with energy, with belief, with intention, your mind pays attention. Monotone declarations don't move the needle. But when you say, "I will succeed," and you feel it, when you say, "I deserve greatness," and you believe it, your mind begins to shift. Confidence grows, fear weakens, and momentum builds. What you repeatedly tell yourself becomes the filter through which you see the world. If you keep telling yourself that you're growing, learning, and evolving, then every failure becomes feedback, not defeat. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to rise. Over time, your self-talk becomes your self-image, and your self-image sets the standard for your life. Knowledge alone does not create success. It is the application of that knowledge, the ability to take what you know and turn it into meaningful action that leads to real achievement. Too many people believe that learning is enough, but the truth is that without execution, even the most brilliant ideas remain dormant. Knowledge is a tool, not a destination. It's the spark, not the flame. Action is what makes things happen, and without it, knowledge is just an unused resource. It's easy to get caught in the trap of seeking more information. We live in an age where information is abundant and readily available. Books, podcasts, courses, articles, there's no shortage of material to consume, but all of that is just theory. It's a collection of ideas and strategies waiting to be put to use. If you spend your time learning without ever taking action, You're essentially collecting tools without ever building anything. Knowledge can't improve your life if it remains in your head. It only has power when it's applied in the real world. The biggest obstacle to action isn't a lack of knowledge. It's fear. Fear of failure. Fear of not being good enough. Fear of making mistakes. But here's the reality. You can never truly fail until you stop trying. You learn by doing, by testing what works and what doesn't. Every attempt, every failure, every small victory is a step forward. If you're waiting for the perfect moment to act, you'll never take that first step. Success doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from being willing to take imperfect action, to adjust and refine as you go, and to learn from the process itself. The key is consistency. Action is not a one-time event, but a series of small, deliberate steps over time. It's about showing up every day and doing the work, even when it feels difficult or uncomfortable, even when you don't have all the answers, even when you're unsure of the outcome. Progress is made through consistent effort. Knowledge without consistent action is like a plant without sunlight. It may grow, but it will not thrive. It's also important to remember that taking action doesn't always mean making huge, sweeping changes. Sometimes it's the small, daily actions that lead to the biggest results. It's about building momentum, taking one step, then another, then another. Each step builds on the last. The more you act, the more confident you become. The more confident you become, the more you're willing to take bigger risks, try new things, and push past your limitations. Action feeds confidence, and confidence fuels even more action. No amount of learning will replace the necessity of doing. Whether it's starting that business, writing that book, or making that first sales call, the only way to make progress is to act. Even if the results are not immediate, action creates forward motion. It's what separates dreamers from doers. People who succeed are not necessarily the smartest or the most knowledgeable. They are the ones who take the knowledge they have and use it to create something real. Every step taken, no matter how small, moves you closer to your goals. But without action, nothing moves. Persistence is the quality that separates those who achieve their dreams from those who give up too soon. It is the force that drives individuals to keep going even when they face failure after failure, rejection after rejection, and when it feels like progress is nowhere to be found. It is easy to be motivated when things are going well, but the true test of character comes when everything seems to be working against you. In those moments, persistence is the only thing that keeps you moving forward. The path to success is rarely a straight line. There are always twists and turns, obstacles and setbacks, moments of doubt and frustration. But persistent individuals don't let those challenges stop them. They understand that failure is not a permanent state, it's a part of the process. Every failure teaches a lesson. Every setback provides an opportunity to reassess and adjust. They know that the road to success is built on small steps, each one taken with determination, no matter how difficult the journey becomes. When persistence is in play, the timeline of success no longer matters. The individual who is determined doesn't quit when things get tough or when the results don't appear immediately. They keep going even when it feels like nothing is changing. They understand that success takes time. They understand that the world doesn't always work on their schedule, but that doesn't mean they should stop trying. Every day that they show up and keep pushing forward is a day that brings them closer to their goal, even if it doesn't feel that way in the moment. The power of persistence is that it turns frustration into fuel. Instead of allowing failures to deter them, persistent people use those failures as motivation to try again. They don't see rejection as an endpoint, but as a sign that they're getting closer. Each no brings them one step closer to a yes. Each mistake is simply an opportunity to learn and improve. The persistent individual doesn't get discouraged by short-term setbacks because they are focused on the long-term goal. One of the most powerful aspects of persistence is its ability to build resilience. With every challenge faced and overcome, the individual becomes stronger and more capable. Resilience doesn't come from avoiding difficulties. It comes from facing them head-on and continuing to move forward. Persistence turns challenges into stepping stones, allowing people to grow, adapt, and become better equipped to handle whatever comes their way in the future. Persistence also requires faith, the belief that the effort is worth it, even when the outcome isn't immediately visible. It's about trusting that all of the hard work, all of the struggles, all of the failures are leading somewhere meaningful. It's about knowing that each step forward is building momentum, even if you can't yet see the finish line. This is the mindset that allows someone to keep pushing through tough times, even when it feels like they've reached the limit of their strength.